Hello and welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Oblivion on Nyxus Gaming. Today we're going to be having a little Nyxus guide here today, not really guiding you through any collectibles or anything in the game, but I will be going over all of the unique enemies that you can find throughout the game. Scratch that, not all of them. Mainly just the ones that you got to go out of your way for, or you don't directly interact with quests, because there are plenty of quests and storylines in the game that have you deal with unique enemies, unique zombies. There's Mehrunes Dagon, who is clearly a unique enemy at the end, but everyone's going to encounter him if you do the main quest line. So I'm not really going over those enemies, just the ones you got to go out of your way for, or you might not notice them at first. And we're going to be starting with one that you'll encounter if you look around a little bit in the main quest line. Once you get to Paradise here, it shows the world map, but here in Paradise, before you go into the grotto, if you head all the way to the eastern side of the map, you're going to have to swim around. And remember, you do have to do this before you enter the grotto. If you swim around, you'll find this little island here, and on the island is a Spectral Mudcrab, the only Spectral Mudcrab that you will ever find in the game, and it is dead. Let's move on to the next one. Actually, does it drop anything unique? Had a battle axe of damnation on it, and some crab meat. I don't know if that's random loot or if it always spawns with that stuff, but that's a pretty good reward if you ask me. Next up is an enemy that you might come across during the Thieves Guild quest line when you're looking for the Arrow of Extrication for the Grey Fox. It is inside the Braville's Wizard Grotto, which isn't actually marked on the map. There are a few different entrances to it though. The quest itself will point you through Castle Braville into a secret passage into it. There is a trapdoor underwater that you can find somewhere around here in the Niben Bay. Or you can just break directly into Father Aaron's tower through his front door and head in through there. Either way you want to do it, you're going to want to come to this flooded section here. And when you get to this room in particular, if you look down, you'll see there's a crack in the ground. And you're going to find a few slaughterfish. They're inconsequential, but if you come down, you'll see this big boy right here, the giant slaughterfish. The only known appearance of this slaughterfish in the game is right here in the Wizard's Grotto. And you can see there, I think he just healed a little bit. He's a wormy little guy. Let's get rid of the small guy. I think the small guy's already dead. I don't know where the big one went. Sometimes he clips in and out of the rocks and can be hard to find. Oh yeah, there he is, in the rocks over here. I don't think I can even kill him now. Kind of unfair. He can attack me. There we go. We took care of him. And he has like a bunch of different equipment on him. Plenty of ingredients. A bunch of bones. This guy has been a menace down here for a while. An entire armor set as well. Well, maybe not an entire one, but bits and pieces of an armor set. And you can get the boots of the Silt Runner off him, which gives you water walking. Kind of a cool thing that they removed from Skyrim, being able to walk on water. The next one can be accessed through the Dark Brotherhood quest line. Now, the wiki says that you can do it after the Next of Kin quest, after you deal with all the stuff at Apple Watch. Afterwards, these gravestones should appear. I didn't get these to appear until you return here later in the quest line, during the following Elite quest. But all you gotta do is you gotta activate the grave of Perennia Draconis. Here lies Perennia Draconis, kind and gentle matron of the Draconis family. May her spirit forever curse the murderer who stole her precious life. And upon that, her vengeful spirit gets summoned and starts attacking you, the ghost of Perennia Draconis. We arrive here at Greenmead Cave in between Skingrad and the Imperial City. You're going to want to work your way to the third area, the Greenmead Inky Grottos, if I can speak right. And you're going to come to this room here on the other side, the upper level, of course. But here you will find a particularly large mud crab. Now, it doesn't have a unique name, but as you can tell, it killed itself by attacking me. That's the giant mud crab, everybody. This is a kind of strange one, but if you're ever in Skingrad and you make your way over to Lazare Milvin's house, right next to the All Things Alchemical store right across from it, you head inside, you can completely ignore him, and you can get into his basement here. And as you walk down, you'll see this rat here. Now, this rat is unique in that it is incredibly fast, as you can tell. And it's also leveled. You can see it has a ton of health. And, I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage to me because I'm max level. But it is just an unusually powerful and very fast rat. It doesn't even go down in one hit from my sword here, which is one of the best swords in the game. There's no real explanation of why this rat is here or why it's extremely powerful. Doesn't have anything unique on it. It's just kind of here in the basement of this random guy in Skingrad. This next one is the subject of an unmarked quest that involves the cave Lost Boy Cavern, which can be found just east of the Nibbin Bay, way over here out of the way. Now, this unmarked quest involves going through the cave and finding a series of notes until you find the unique enemy at the very end. The first note is the weathered journal, found directly outside the main entrance. Long have I sought to purge the evils haunting Erandur. Even when his necromantic studies resulted in our mutual expulsion from the Guild of Mages, I persisted in guiding him towards good with a gentle hand. Alas, in our exile my old friend has mired himself in the foul practice, and in shocking discovery I learned he had become a miserly disciple of the Worm King, a cunning wraith, a lich. Frail memory strengthened by dogmatic resolve, the archmages turned me away when I came to them with my discovery. My pleas for a detachment of battle mages ignored, only my long past expulsion remembered, and thus the grave duty falls only to me. I must bear the burden of purging the lich that was once a friend. I wander now into the foreboding maw of these catacombs known as the Lost Boy Caverns, far from the chimes of common elves and men. With pure spirit and rites of cleansing, I hope to strike down the fearsome lich and set free the soul of Erandur. But I leave this testament behind, lest I may never return from these depths, as a warning to those who may follow my path. Faithful, even in exile, Vangaril. The next part can be found in the second area, Lost Boy's Yawning Halls. In this room here to the south, you'll know you're in the right room when you see this overturned chair here and the crumpled piece of paper next to it. Each day this cave foils me. I could swear I am near the surface when I awake shaking, cold and in the stank inner keep. Here I must keep notes of the way out. 3 steps forth, 5 steps right, 6 steps up, and 7 for woe. 8 steps make the children cry, 9 steps pop Khajiit's eyes, 10 steps mark the Worm King's wrath, 11 steps through the gates of scorched oblivion. In the next area, Lost Boy Canyon, in the southern room down here, you can find another crumbled piece of paper on this table here. Rot, decay, and oh the worms, the pitiful scrabbling of this mortal shell shall soon be quieted. Vangaril, fool, struggle no more. When you read these words, know that your graying skin, your failing breath, know that they are your own doing, your own foil and folly. Soon you will be no more, and Lich Erandur will consume you from within. Resign unto your fate. Join us. In Lost Boy's Hidden Bastion, accessible by the Yawning Halls or the Canyon, if you go to the westernmost or the easternmost room, you will find a folded page here. This day I have struck down the shade of my former friend and ally. With a heavy heart, as the Lich wailed and perished, I performed the rites to extract Erandur's soul from undeath and destroy the Lich utterly. No dusty text had prepared me for the bizarre events that occurred, but I am confident that I have freed the soul of Erandur. I feel compelled to investigate this cavern. Perhaps some dark relics here can be used for research to better combat necromancers in the future. I will explore and perhaps emerge with trophies enough to prove my worth to the guild. Also here in the Lost Boys Hidden Bastion, towards the center, you'll find this little workplace here where you'll find not one, but 3 letters to the Guild of Mages, 2 of them crumpled up. An open letter to the Guild of Mages. Respected Archmages, if this letter makes it to your hands, it is either through my miraculous escape from Lost Boy Cavern, or the noble hands of an intrepid explorer, who did not share my gruesome fate. The dire task I undertook alone, when your hands denied me aid, ended in peril. Despite my studies, I failed the casting to banish the Lich befouling the spirit of my dear friend Erandur, and an evil took root within me. Surely your noble countenance will not be furrowed to hear. And the note cuts off as he writes the next one. A letter for the once great Mages Council. The words you read now are those of a man sentenced to the icy grip of undeath, so doomed by your hand. Though thy folly was perhaps only to follow protocol, may my fate haunt your dreams. I vigorously trained myself as a spell sword to purge the Lich that had dominated the soul of my once noble friend Erandur, but my pointless expulsion from your misguided coven barred me from the appropriate training. The blame falls upon your brow for my errors in banishing the Lich. The blame falls to you for its infestation of my mind. May the Worm King himself usurp you, hideous hounds of... And once again, it cuts off as he writes his final letter to the Guild of Mages. An open threat to the Guild of Mages. Your days are at an end, your blind bureaucracy finished. Your maggot-filled hearts will rot in the eaves of my inner sanctum. Your flesh nothing more than tattered mort meat. Your paltry souls forfeit. I will consume you, each one. The fell might of Lich Erandur-Vangaril will be your end. Deidraka Manamarco Daedroth Kavach Manamarco. The Lich himself, Erandur-Vangaril, can be found in the westernmost room, the easternmost room, of the Hidden Bastion, next to the note detailing how Vangaril thought he had freed his friend Erandur from the curse. Now, you do learn through reading the other notes that Vangaril did not succeed, and instead the Lich had combined the 2 souls of Erandur and Vangaril into one here, and now it is up to us to free both the souls, and hopefully not suffer the same fates. He holds the Mace of Abeyance on him and Simple Bone Mill, not very good, and he has the Staff of Vulnerability on him. If you work your way up to Dive Rock in the far northeast section of the map, it is quite a trek, as you can see, it is very high up. You'll find a little campsite here with a journal owned by a man named Agnar. When I took on the role of Chieftain of Thirsk, when I accepted the beautiful Savinja Snowlong as my advisor, and then my bride, I never imagined how quickly my life would change. I went to the Isle of Solstheim for some much-needed rest, and found it in the mead-soaked halls of Thirsk. But when I met Savinja, my sweet Savinja, I became entangled in an epic story the likes of which I had only read about in fables and children's tales. Savinja told me of the fateful night when a hideous creature known as the Uderfrykte attacked the mead hall, killing rampantly, leaving her the only survivor. The creature was slain by a champion, and Thirsk had its new chieftain, but it wasn't long before they moved on to some new challenge, some new adventure. And that's where I entered the tale. Savinja Snowlong, with her ice-blue eyes and flaxen hair, gained my love. Soon after, I became her husband, and the mead hall's new chieftain. In truth, I had never been happier, but Savinja, my dear wife, existed in quiet misery, constantly haunted by the memory of the Uderfrykte and the damage it had wrought on the mead hall. And the people she had loved. Night after night, my dear woke up screaming, her face etched in horror, and a single word issuing from her lips: Uderfrykte. I feared for my wife's sanity and happiness, but it was she who found a solution to her problem. As a warrior, she told me she must confront her fear. She must defeat it. The Uderfrykte was dead, yes, but where did it come from? Was it unique? Would more of the creatures come and wreak havoc once again? Would I, her loving husband, be killed? And so she corresponded with explorers and researchers all across Tamriel, until she found the answer she had been looking for. The Uderfrykte was in fact not unique, but the offspring of an ancient Uderfrykte Matron. In order to end the nightmares, in order to prevent any more destruction, we would need to hunt down and kill the Uderfrykte Matron, no matter where or how. By Ysmir, we've been searching and searching and searching some more. But finally it came, the lucky break we had been hoping for. The creature has been spotted by a shepherd in the remote highlands of Skyrim. We found its trail and tracked it for days, crossing the border into the Imperial Province. Here in the frigid mountains, we met with a local hunter who tried to warn us away from the area, citing an old legend about a deadly creature known as the Horror of Dive Rock, a monster credited with the slaying of over a dozen people and just as much cattle. Could this creature be the very Uderfrykte Matron we seek? Perhaps, unlike its child on Solstheim, the Matron moves from location to location, and it's this mobility that has thus far prevented its killing or capture. We have made camp at Dive Rock, reportedly the highest natural observation point in all of Cyrodiil. From here we can see for miles, so we'll keep watch night and day. We're close, so very close. Savinja and I can feel it in our very bones. Indeed, Savinja has always been particularly in tune with such things, and is convinced the Uderfrykte Matron is close. Savinja has grown tired of my constant writing, but this journal will serve as a record of our travels and defeat against the Uderfrykte. She's staring at me angrily, impatiently, right now as I write, but this entry is too important. Finally, on this third day of watching, we've spotted it. The Uderfrykte Matron. It is unlike anything we have ever laid eyes on, a giant, troll-like beast that seems to waver and shimmer in the cold. Like the feral form of winter itself, we're off now to trudge down the mountain, weapons in hand, and give the Horror of Dive Rock its die. Failure and horror, we engaged the monsters with all the force we could muster, but it was a travesty beyond comprehension. Savinja, my beautiful Savinja, my dear wife, was killed instantly, consumed by the beast nearly whole. And though it shames me now to write these words, I could think of nothing more at the time than escape. I took flight, returning here to our camp on Dive Rock to collect my thoughts and nerve. I haven't much time. After this quick entry, I will march out and meet the Uderfrykte Matron once more. It is sure to track me back to this campsite anyway, so our confrontation is inevitable. Can I even hope to defeat this monstrosity? One thing is certain, Savinja and I came hastily, unprepared. My steel axe, useless. My dear wife's frostworm bow, completely ineffective, and swallowed whole, still in Savinja's hand. The beast appears to be a creature of the cold and is likely nearly completely resistant to it. I would attack with fire if I had any on hand, but there is no time. No time to travel to a mage's guild and procure an enchanted blade or hire the services of a sorcerer. My steel axe will have to do, and so I return to battle now and hope beyond hope that I may slay the wretched monster that has brought so much grief to so many people. And if not, I take comfort in knowing I will soon regain my beautiful bride in the gilded halls of Sovngarde. If someone is reading this hastily written journal, I am likely dead, and pray to Ysmir that you have had more luck against the creature than I. Agnar the Unwavering, Chieftain of Thirsk. Now, this is an interesting little unique enemy that you can spot from Dive Rock if you come just over this hill here, down in the distance. The Uderfrykte was an enemy in Morrowind, defeated by the Nerevarine, the main character of that game that you play as. Now, this details the next chieftain of Thirsk after the Nerevarine leaves, and his account of trying to defeat the Matron, the true monster behind the Uderfrykte. There is also a Uderfrykte that appears in Skyrim, but it is unknown if it has any relation to the Matron or the monster you fight in Morrowind. But either way, all you know now is that you are faced with the true Matron of the Uderfrykte encountered in Morrowind, and it has taken dozens of lives, including Agnar and Savinja. As you get close, you can see Agnar's body nearby, and we can get a good look at the Uderfrykte here. It is normally hostile, and I don't know if it's supposed to be flashing like this, kind of invisible. That might be a bug of the game, but it is normally hostile. I do have console commands on to where it doesn't detect me here. If you check Agnar's body, there's no real loot on it, and all you're faced with is the Uderfrykte itself. So, let's go ahead and do that. And it should attack us as soon as it detects us here. You can see it does a decent amount of damage, and it attacks very fastly. Even at max level, it's pretty strong. It's hurting itself because of my armor. And it goes down pretty quickly with a top-tier weapon. Now, just as the journal described, it did eat Savinja whole, and you can get her Frostworm bowl, same thing, and you can get her unique remains as well. 2 arms, a head, 2 legs, and a torso. And I think it's only right that we lay that to rest together with Agnar here. And with that, we have beaten pretty much every unique enemy in Cyrodiil that is worth mentioning, and we're going to draw this video to a close here. So thank you all for watching. Next time on Nyxus Guides, we're going to jump into the Shivering Isles for a few interesting guides and collectibles that we can find there. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.